So many of us have an issue getting a good night's sleep, and the positive here is that it's really, really not that difficult. So, if you struggle with falling asleep, you struggle with getting out of bed, you struggle with staying asleep through the night, or if you struggle with just feeling refreshed, like you actually have energy when you wake up, you are in the right spot. Because today I'm going to teach you 3 tips to improve your sleep quality. Because if you are not getting a deep, restful state of sleep, you are seriously damaging your brain in the long run. And all the research studies point to this. Sleep is so important because when your brain gets a really high quality of sleep, it actually clears and flushes toxins out. So when we think about some of the toxins that lead to things like dementia, Alzheimer's disease, when you actually get a good night's sleep, your brain flushes those out. And also, when you get a really deep, restful state of sleep, it becomes so much easier to manage your emotions, to manage your stress the next day. Because I know what you're like when you don't get a good night's sleep. Not about you. You don't want to be around me if I don't get a good night's sleep because I am not a happy person to be around. And as I mentioned before, a lot of us struggle with sleep, but it really isn't that difficult. And what I need you to understand is that sleep is very natural to us humans. Okay. Like sleep is something that your body craves and needs. And when you think about it, like for example, like squirrels in the environment, they don't need anything to sleep. They're able to sleep. If you have a pet like a dog, like I know my dog, he doesn't need anything to sleep. He's able to easily sleep. And so there's nothing wrong with your brain. There's nothing wrong with your body. What's happened is that you're just so disconnected from your body and yourself that your brain is now unable to have a good night and restful state of sleep. And we're going to talk about how to really take that power back because if you optimize these few things, you'll have such a big difference in your sleep and you'll feel overall just so much better waking up the next day and feel so much more control of your emotions as well. If you're new to this channel, my name is Dr. Bisley Natalie. I'm a cognitive behavioral therapy certified naturopathic doctor and I teach people how to rewire their brain naturally. Before we dive into the tips, I just want to start off by educating you as to the 2 most important things that your brain needs in order for you to get a good night's sleep. So, number 1, your brain and body need to be in the calm nervous system state. So, when we look at your 2 main nervous system states that I want you to focus on, you have the sympathetic state, that's the stress state. So, whenever you're stressed out, this is the state that turns on. The other branch is the parasympathetic nervous system state. Whenever you are in that calm state, you're feeling good, that's when this nervous system state essentially turns on. Now, if you are in the stress nervous system state before bed, your body wants to stay awake. Your body starts shooting out your hormone cortisol because your body believes that it's in danger, that there's a threat around. And as a result of that, your body wants to essentially stay awake. Now, the second thing that your brain needs in order for a good night's sleep is it needs your hormone melatonin. So melatonin is the hormone that signals your brain it's time to fall asleep. So this hormone, it's released in your brain when it's dark outside, right? So this is why if you live in somewhere where it gets cold, I live in Canada, in Toronto specifically, and you better bet it gets cold and it gets nighttime comes around like at 4:30 in the winter. And so when it's night that early, your brain starts to produce melatonin and you start to feel sleepier earlier. Now, here's the other thing. If you are in that stress state before bed, what's starting to happen is that your brain is not producing enough of your hormone melatonin because again, your brain's in that state of just like, oh my God, there's a threat. We need to stay awake. And so it's that production of melatonin is actually going to decrease. And so as you can see, these are the 2 most important things. They go hand in hand together. And so the tips that I'm going to share with you are going to involve increasing that production of melatonin and making sure that your parasympathetic nervous system is turned on. The first tip that I want to share to improve your sleep quality is to reduce your stimulation, especially around bedtime. We live in such a stimulated world. Like from the moment you wake up to the moment you're about to go to bed, you are constantly stimulated all day long. You're on your phone constantly checking it. You're on your laptop working. You are, doing one activity to the next. If you have kids, you're even that much more stimulated. If you have a busy work life, you're that much more stimulated. And we just never take any sort of breather. And then when it comes time to sleep, we're not able to sleep because your body has been in such a hyper stimulated state that now it's not able to actually rest and get a good night's sleep. And so the most important thing that you can do is to really reduce that stimulation around bedtime. So what does that really look like when it comes to reducing the stimulation around bedtime? So you want to make sure that technology is put away. I know you're gonna be like, oh my God, I know this, but it's like, then why aren't you doing it? You're literally not doing it. You know that technology is stressing you out, but all of us, we doom scroll before bed. I've yet to have a new patient that's come in who actually has a bedtime routine. Everybody's either on their phone or they're watching TV, and what's happening is that you're putting your brain more in that stimulated, stressed out state. I don't care if you're just like, but I fall asleep to the TV or I fall asleep to TikTok. It doesn't matter because it's putting you more into that stress state and it's stimulating your mind. So, one of the best things you can do is to reduce that stimulation by putting away all technology 60 to 30 minutes before bed. Like, if 60 minutes feels like a lot, I want you to start off with 30 minutes and then work your way up to 60 minutes and see how that feels. Now, the other thing too that also helps when it comes to reducing stimulation is being mindful of light. So I know, right now it's like summer and it doesn't get dark until like 9:30, right? So it can be a little bit difficult to kind of manipulate those lights, especially if you have a lot of sunlight coming in, but really making sure that the light in your home is dimmed down. You're not having any sort of bright lights in your room. You want to be mindful of the noise because, again, stimulation puts your body in high alert, and we don't want you to be in high alert before bed. We want you to be in a calm, rested place before bed. And this leads me into tip number 2 that's going to really help you is you want to do activities that help your nervous system regulate and specifically help your nervous system turn on that parasympathetic state. Because as I mentioned before, you are spending your entire day being in that sympathetic stress state, and that is significantly reducing your ability to get a deep quality sleep. So what happens to a lot of us, if we don't regulate our nervous system, we're able to fall asleep, but then we wake up and we don't feel very refreshed. It feels like you could sleep 100 more hours, and that's because your brain wasn't able to get to that really deep, restful place that it needs to be at, so that you're waking up feeling like you have lots of energy, so that you're waking up just feeling extremely refreshed in the morning. And so activities that can help to relax your nervous system. I personally love to take a hot bath before bed. I just find that as soon as I sit in the bath, it's like I can feel every single cell, nerve in my body just unwinding. I love to read before bed. Sometimes I'll use a massage gun and do some stretches. Sometimes I make myself a little chamomile tea. With that, you want to be careful because if you have a lot of water before bed, you will definitely wake up to pee. So be mindful. Have a tea 2 to 3 hours before bed instead of like right before, because you will definitely need to wake up to use a bathroom. And then that can be really disturbing to sleep sometimes. So you want to make sure you're doing activities that help to relax that nervous system state, that help to actually really, make you feel good before bed and calm. And that's going to have such a big impact and effect on your sleep. And I've honestly even done that comparison with myself. So I've actually, experimented with myself, and I've been on technology before bed, and then I've done the nervous system regulation stuff. World of a difference. Like, I can't watch TV before bed or scroll on my phone before bed because I've just noticed such a big difference in my quality of sleep. And the days that I've ever on technology or on my phone before bed, I barely sleep. It's like the worst sleep of my life. So I definitely avoid it. Pro tip, if you do want to take this to a whole other level, don't bring your phone into your bed. I don't bring my phone into my bedroom. I actually have a clock that I use, a sunrise clock specifically. That's also been such a game changer for me to just wake up in the morning. It stimulates like a sunrise that I'm waking up to. And it's been a great way for me to wake up. And so I don't use my phone as my alarm clock anymore at all. The sleep mode comes on at 9 p.m. and I don't touch my phone until the next morning. Even just keeping that technology, that phone outside of your bedroom can make such a big difference in terms of you using it and going towards it, especially before bedtime. And the very last tip that I have for you that is going to dramatically improve your sleep quality is to exercise during the day. This is going to make such a big difference because if your body is not exhausted and tired, your body's not going to want to sleep. And I want you to think back to all the times when you've had a day of a lot of movement, right? Maybe you've done a lot of walking, or maybe you were traveling in a different country and you just spent the whole day exploring the city. You're riding your bikes and doing all these fun things, and you had the best sleep of your life because of how active you were. So by the end of the night, your body was just like, oh my God, I need to rest. I need to sleep. And you have such an incredible sleep because of how much movement you got in during the day. So you need to exercise. What's happening to a lot of us is that we end up just sitting down all day long at our office desks and we haven't moved an inch. And then all of a sudden it's time to sleep and you don't feel sleepy. You don't feel tired because all you've done all day is just sit on your chair, sit on your booty, and you haven't actually moved. So, the more that you can exercise during the day, and for me specifically, what I'll do is I'll do like a 30-minute workout, and then throughout the day, I'll go on 20, 30-minute walks, and I'll make sure to get in 10,000 steps. That has always been my goal, and I always find a way to get those 10,000 steps in. And I find that when I have more movement on those days, my sleep is amazing, and I'm ready to just hit the bed and have a really, really good night's sleep. So, getting that exercise and movement in during the day really, really helps as well. Because, again, a body that's well moved is a body that is going to crave rest. But if a body hasn't been moved well at all, the body doesn't want to rest because it still has energy in it. And so, get that movement in throughout the day. I promise you, it's going to have such an incredible impact and effect on your sleep. And so, here are the recaps of the steps. So, the 3 tips to help you improve your sleep quality is to reduce stimulation, it's to activate and do activities that turn on that parasympathetic nervous system state. And lastly, it's to make sure that you're moving your body and exercising as much as possible during the day. You do these 3 things, commit to them for like 1 or 2 weeks, and you'll notice such a big difference in your sleep quality. And if you want deeper, more personalized support, I invite you to book a free 15-minute clarity call with me, and we can talk about what your plan looks like to rewire your brain naturally.